The following is a special presentation of KDOW. Money Pulse. Monitoring the heartbeat of money. From Wall Street to Main Street to your wallet. Now here's your host, Dynasti Young.
All right, welcome back to the Money Pulse, everyone. Thank you for showing up today. I have a very well-dressed, nice-looking young man here in front of me in the studio. His name is Leo Zacky. Hey, Leo, thanks for coming today.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
We're really excited to talk about some stuff. So you're a fourth-generation California living dude. I mean, you're all nice and tan. I could call you a dude right now. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I'm just a dude.
You're a sharp-looking gentleman. You grew up here. You grew up in agriculture space, which I'd like to talk about a little bit. And now you're here today. And so do you want to introduce yourself? Kind of give us a little piece of you?
Sure. Well, I'm Leo Zacky of Zacky Farms. If you guys recognize that name, you should, because we were the largest privately owned employer in the state, largest poultry producer on the West Coast.
Zacky Farms. Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, kind of big. $500 million company in 2000, 4,000 employees, largest second chance employer in the state, largest organic turkey producer in the nation, pioneered antibiotic free. We were vertically integrated, and it started in 1928 with my great-grandfather in Los Angeles.
Wow. That's some history. So what do you do nowadays? What's going on with you here and now?
Well, here and now, I got a couple of awesome companies I'm involved in, but I'm currently running for governor here in California.
What? He's running for governor in California, everyone. Leo Zacky here.
Yeah. It's something that I have to do. What happened to my family, the way we ran out of business here, if it can happen to someone like us and of our scale, it can happen to anybody. And we've already seen that happening. I mean, 99 Cent Stores, that's a California company. They went out of business. In-N-Out Burger packs up and leaves, moves to Nashville. Oracle's left. Tesla's left. Bed Bath & Beyond doesn't want to have business here. And even worse, the governor's literally telling them to F off. And we don't need your business, which is so crazy to me.
That is crazy. Yeah. That's unfortunate.
So I want to bring solutions to the state. So this doesn't happen to anybody. And it's actually a place that's viable for business because we're the world leader in so many agricultural products. And my business, along with so many other businesses here in California, are players on the global scale. You have to be able to be competitive in an international marketplace, and California takes that viability away from you through regulation and minimum wage and California Air Resources Board and just all these arbitrary barriers to success that only impact businesses in California.
That's a very good point. Yeah. And you know, because you were affected by it and you were involved with it. So did that have some of your inspiration? Did that kind of come from the changes that you saw growing up and what happened with Zacky Farms? Or where did that inspiration and that courage come from at such a young age too? But you have a lot of experience in life and in business. So I'm just curious.
Well, I got to be a board member for the California Poultry Federation when I was 18, and I did that for a decade as well. And so I got to meet all our elected officials, and, you grow up and you're like, oh, these must be the best and brightest. And you actually go to their office and you sit down with them and you're like, you're really stupid. And you don't care about people or their businesses or their families or their livelihoods. All they cared about was being wined and dined and reelected.
What age did you figure that out? Because that took me a while.
Oh, well, I mean, I was very lucky to have the opportunity to be in those. I'm literally in offices of U.S. sitting senators and
amazing
and congressmen. Like, that was wild for me. So
at what age?
Well, I shadowed my grandmother because she was a board member as well, and I would go with her starting when I was 15. So we'd go and do that, and then when I was 18, I became a board member. So by the time I was 18 years old, I'd already seen the incompetence, and I was like, this is crazy. I'd be sitting there, and like one of the things that they were trying to pass here in California was they're trying to ban a piece of equipment that we use that's essential, and it's called shackles. That's just the name of the equipment. So when you take the turkeys or the chickens out of the truck to go get processed, you put them in the shackles, and they go off into the next room to be, processed. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to outlaw shackles because the name shackles, well, it sounds like slavery, right? So that's so this arbitrary thought process is going to now make it so difficult for us to process our birds. And so I'm sitting in these office of congressmen, and we're to explain to them that the only other way we can efficiently process this many birds is to either drown them or gas them.
Yeah.
And it was just like, how do they not understand that we need things like this? And like, this is all being pushed because of some, progressive agenda and like emotions. And it was going to impact business. Thankfully, they made the right decision and they didn't go ahead and ban it. But the fact that this was on the chopping block because of something so trivial as to like feelings when it comes to a piece of equipment. Business
and food and feelings. I don't know. Yeah. Did you guys have to rename it?
No. Thankfully, no, we didn't have to do anything like that. They actually killed it. But like, it was amazing that people that were going to vote for that to happen, and we had to convince them by telling them like the honest truth. But there's been other things where like they just didn't get the basic concepts of farming, like stuff I could talk to a 6-year-old about, and they'd be like, "Yeah, that makes sense," and they're just like, "I don't get it."
That's eye-opening for somebody so young, and frustrating too for somebody in your position, supporting your grandmother, being her partner in crime at those board meetings when you're little, and then growing up to being, a significant piece of that picture. I mean, it would drive me bonkers.
Oh yeah, no, but it was definitely eye-opening. But I'm glad. That's the thing, though. But I have these experiences, and I understand what we're dealing with, and I think everybody kind of feels this way. Not everybody, but there's definitely a lot of people who have woken up to the concept that these people suck. They're not doing the job that they should be, and look how we're all suffering. Look how expensive and broken it is here in California.
Yep, I can't agree more.
I mean, look at all the businesses that are leaving. People like the small mom and pops, like even my favorite burrito place in LA is shutting down after 37 years.
That's tragic. Do they have those French fries? Are they like the San Diego burritos?
No, I don't like the California burritos. Like that. Sorry, I know a lot of people like them. I'm not for the French fries and the burritos. I feel like they're the same people that put like the French fries in the hamburger bun.
Or maybe they're the ones that dip their French fries in the milkshake. Yeah, I could agree. I don't do that either. But I've seen it. I've always wanted to try.
I like French fries. I just don't want them in my burrito. Separate story.
Right. So you have this background that really kind of taught you about structure and policy and kind of nonsense all at the same time, so that you could wrap your little mind around logic. And so since then, you've been developing these kind of thoughts. Are you a policy maker? What is your thing what inspires you?
I mean, the whole thing, my whole campaign is about solutions, common sense solutions. I'm a farmer, okay? Life isn't that complicated. As much as they like to tell us all this government stuff, it's so big, it's so complex. No, it's not. It's very simple things. Simple solutions are most often the best solutions. And so I'm talking about developing water infrastructure that not only will create such a vast abundance that we won't have to worry about drought, but to the point where we can turn it into a net revenue positive generator, where we can auction off portions of the Colorado River shed so we don't have to build infrastructure to pipe it out, to bring an additional revenue stream into the state. We have to diversify our portfolio. That's what any good business does. I mean, we were literally selling chicken litter, okay? The things that they live and defecate on. We had to sell quite literally chicken excrement. We were selling turkey paws, which, turkey feet. Do you know anybody who eats turkey feet?
No.
Exactly, but we had to find somebody who did. Chinese love it. And so you took something that would have been a zero revenue generator and you turned it into a positive cash flow. That's what any good business does. So we do that with the water. We can extract and refine the oil here and create over 100,000 jobs and all this revenue coming in tens of billions of dollars. We can save money by actually being proactive as opposed to reactive when it comes to disasters with forest management. The power that we can create from the water and small modular nuclear power as well, and plus all the incentives there for business. I mean, it's like 40 cents a kilowatt hour here in California. In other states, it's like 4 or 5 cents. So we've got that going for you. There's just so many things that we can do. And even my homeless solution has a built-in system for where it can help offset its expenditures by the work that they'll be able to do to help offset other things. I call it homeless to home. That's a whole thing.
Homeless to home? I like it. I like it.
Yeah, so you enforce your vagrancy laws, which gives you grounds to actually get them off the streets and out of the parks and all that. And then you get them into mental health and drug rehab program because it's a mental health crisis. That's what it's not this housing shortage issue. It's mental health, and it's exacerbated by drugs.
Right. Self-medication and whatnot.
Right. So you get them in the program, you get them treatment, you give them the ability to learn a job skill, and while they're doing the job skill, they earn money. So you deduct the cost of their housing and their medical care and their rehab care, and then that extra money goes into an account they can't touch till they complete the program. They never go into debt over this. And so when they complete the program, they've got money in the bank. They got their mental health and drug habit under control. They're eligible for government-assisted housing. They got the job skill. And anybody who hires them coming out of the program would get a tax incentive for doing so.
That sounds beautiful. I mean, that sounds like the way it's supposed to go here. I'm going to pause you just for a minute because we're going to go to a commercial break, but I want to hear more. I want to dissect that, and I want to talk more about your homeless to home in a perfect, sequence of let's get them off the street, let's get them better, let's help them, let's take care of them, and then let's let them go. I love that. Everyone, I have Leo Zacky here. He's running for California governor here on KDOW in my studio, and we'll be back on the Money Pulse in just a moment. Thank you.
Money Pulse, KDOW's financial news magazine, monitoring the heartbeat of money from Wall Street to Main Street to your wallet. You're listening to Money Pulse on AM 1220 KDOW.
All right, everyone, we're back here with Leo Zacky, who's running for governor of California. A smart gentleman, very nice, sweet, well-dressed, like I said, but also he comes from a really, really humble space of, agriculture and knowing how to work hard with his hands and knowing what it takes to be successful and, pairing with his grandmother growing up and going with her to board meetings has inspired him to learn more about politics and policy. And so we're here now. We just got done talking about a plan that he has for California called Homeless to Home, which I think is wonderful. And I'd like to just kind of continue finishing up that conversation about what that looks like. But Leo, go ahead and take it away and tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so the kind of work that they're going to do to offset the expenditures are going to be basic construction, basic like sanitation. They'll do basic agriculture stuff and basic firefighting and forest management, underbrush clearing. And all that stuff helps cover the cost of helping them because I have a big plan, like I mentioned earlier, a big plan for water. We're going to need to build lots of reservoirs throughout the state. We have about 250,000 homeless here in California.
It's terrible.
If you gave 10,000 people a shovel and you had them dig a hole, they could do that. They could dig a pretty big one pretty quickly. They can also pour concrete. That's a reservoir. Rinse and repeat. I mean, you bring in the experts for the plumbing, but you can still,
of course,
you can still do that. And that's a very easy thing to do. And then you have the sanitation component where they'll clean up our like the wharf in San Francisco or Hollywood Boulevard or the pier or just even along our highways, which are all littered with trash. Mm-hmm. And they can also do ag work, like raising crops, maybe even livestock, and they'll overproduce the crops that they would need to to feed themselves. So you just turn around and sell that for profit. So if it's an organic, feel-good product that's for human consumption, the shoppers at Erewhon and Whole Foods are going to go nuts, and they're going to want to pay top dollar for that. They will. And that's a market space I know very well, that organic, feel-good stuff. People love that. And then you've got the firefighting component where they're doing underbrush clearing, and so that saves us billions of dollars on not having to fight these outrageously devastating fires all the time. So This is how you bring it in. So you have the water infrastructure getting built. So now we have the position to export the water for profit. We're offsetting it through the crops that they grow. We're maintaining our tourist areas and our roadways through their labor and, like I said, mitigating that. And they all are learning a real job skill that then sets them to be very attractive to employers afterwards because there is a tax incentive for it, but they also are already skilled and experienced in this work.
Right. Give them something to be proud of and something to work for.
And build their self-esteem too. I mean, it's all complementary. That's how all my solutions here are designed.
Have you done any, I'm a numbers girl. Have you done any forecasting on like the actual numbers of, your projection of what could be with these infrastructures that you're talking about and these changes like for California profit?
Well, I think with like the oil I mentioned before, we can create 100,000 jobs across the spectrum of what it takes to operate that industry, right? Because you have to have logistics, you need engineers, you need guys actually working the rigs and building the rigs and capping and all that stuff and refining, and then we can probably make about 80 billion, I think, a year with that, which is already over 1/3 of our current budget. And when I'm talking about the homeless stuff, the housing costs, because we're not going to put them in brick and mortar facilities where it's $10 million to build this building at at $80,000 a bed a year to support it. $2,000, $75 a month to pay it off over 27 months, 400 square feet. You can have solar on it. You can hook it up to water and power and sewer, and they're modular and they take an hour to set up. It's a no-brainer. And because we're already spending $20 grand on these like Home Depot tool sheds that they're shoving 2 people into.
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So California, we talked about there's a lot of regulations and policy and stuff, and all of the things sound super good. Like I just wish we could just snap our fingers and make that stuff happen. And I don't know why it hasn't started happening, but I do. But I'm not going to get into that right now. But your ideas, Leo, are just, dead on, like very logical, sensible, human.
Thank you.
Human thoughts. Yeah. Human love and human caring. So thank you for that. But, here, especially in San Jose where I live, I've dealt with a lot of construction workers and people trying to get permits for things on their homes. It's a nightmare. It's just things that don't take very long anywhere else take sometimes years here.
Yeah,
will that stop you?
No, not at all. When you talk about the homeless to home, or
well, just like anything, like to be able to dig holes, to be able to irrigate, but to be able to, I just feel like everything stops everybody.
So look, this is the platform I'm running on. These are the solutions I'm running on. Mm-hmm. These are what the people are essentially voting for.
Right.
So that's the direction that the state wants to go.
Right.
So the legislature needs to follow suit and make sure that's what it's about. But look, and we have to work together, because what the legislature decides, it affects everybody. So It's about Team California. This isn't about Republicans or Democrats anymore.
Right.
Okay, all we're doing is pointing the finger. Oh, you're a Democrat. You're an idiot. Oh, you're a Republican. You're a racist, and that's the end of the conversation.
Right.
I want to build rapport with these people, understand how they think, and get them to understand that this isn't about left or right. It's about this needs to be done. This is going to help everybody, and just expose them if they don't do the right thing. But when it comes to like permitting, like my family and I, we just had to offload a commercial property in Santa Monica because we couldn't. It's just too much of a nightmare for the permitting process to do what we wanted to do. And it's really, that's the biggest area where people are really hindered. I want to update the state website and include like a Grok type AI where somebody can just, or Chat GPT or whatever, they can go on there and talk to it and say, hey, I want to build a pool or build an addition to my house, or I want to start a restaurant or get a liquor license or whatever. And so that AI will then say, all right, here's all the documents that you need to fill out in the forms. And you can do it right there online and submit it electronically. And then whenever there's like an error or something that needs to be corrected to be approved, it tells you where it is. And then you can do it and then resubmit it electronically. And then it says, when you're approved, it's like, all right, you've been approved. The inspector will be there at this date, this time.
You mean I don't have to guess and like learn all about those laws and regulations on my own? I can actually have somebody give me a step-by-step. That's awesome.
I think that's the best way to go about it. I mean, look, it's all about creating opportunity for people here in California, and they don't really have that because there's so many barriers to entry. Like, you want to start a restaurant, right? You got to lease a space first. Then you got to go through the permitting process. That could take 3 months, maybe even 6, depending on how lackadaisical they are. Okay, all that time you're shoving out money, you're not bringing anything in, plus there's the costs on top of that, just having to go through the process. It's a barrier to entry. I want people to be able to create independent wealth for themselves. I want to grow the middle class like you've never seen before.
Yeah, a lot of small business owners face a lot of pushback and a lot of challenges when they're opening up businesses, like a restaurant, for example, like you said, the permits and stuff. There's so much more than that that's going on here in California that's affecting small business owners. How can we're probably talking to a lot of them right now, some small, some large business owners here on this show. What can you do and what can you ensure them about having their backs and why you're the right one for California governor?
Well, I'm all about supporting the middle class. It's the most important because it breaks the dichotomy of having a lower class that's wholly dependent on a ruling elite. And so you guys are able to create that wealth, and by giving them the ability to easily get access to permits and avoid extra fees that get in the way. I want to lower taxes, obviously, but that you are able to lower taxes by not only cutting bureaucratic waste, but like I mentioned earlier, creating additional revenue streams, because right now we just make the state gets the money off of taxes, right? So you start eliminating the need for money to start coming out of people's pockets, and you open up the opportunities to them, because right now people are they're hemorrhaging cash. I mean, no business that can be viable. I mean, look, minimum wage is so high, and how expensive things have become.
Right. I mean, rent, like space, if you have a brick and mortar, good luck.
Right. But then you have local municipalities that raise like the sewer rates. That actually translates to a lot of money. And the utilities too. Think, like I mentioned earlier, like 40 cents a kilowatt hour. That's crazy how expensive water can be. It's doing this across the spectrum. And it's all about supporting people and their ability to create for themselves. And Californians are so creative and they're so brilliant. They just need that path to get there to express it.
I love that. Yeah. And we've got a lot of intelligent people, and we've got yourself here, Leo Zacky, running for governor. You have a website, Leo. Where can we go check out more about you?
Yeah, just go to leozacky.com, LeoZacky.com, and then follow me on all the socials, especially Instagram, at Leo S. Zacky.
Leo S.
Zacky, yeah.
Zacky. And I'll be seeing you at the convention in Orange County, so I look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much for being here. And if you guys want to tune in and hear more about Leo Zacky, he has a show on our sister station, KTRB 860 The Answer, on Sundays at 9 p.m. So tune in and check him out, and go check him out on his website. Thanks.
This has been Money Pulse, KDOW's financial news magazine, monitoring the heartbeat of money from Wall Street to Main Street to your wallet.